1, verses 20 through 25. When you get there, you'll find these words recorded. But now, since you didn't believe what I said, you will be silent and unable to speak until the child is born. For my words will certainly be fulfilled at the proper time. Meanwhile, the people were waiting for Zechariah to come out of the sanctuary, wondering why he was taking so long. When he finally did come out, he couldn't speak to them. Then they realized from his gestures and his silence that he must have seen a vision in the sanctuary. When Zechariah's week of service in the temple was over, he returned home. Soon afterward, his wife Elizabeth became pregnant and went into seclusion for 5 months. "How kind the Lord is," she exclaimed. "He has taken away my disgrace of having no children." Look at your neighbor and say, "Neighbor, now is not a time to doubt." I want to preach from the thought, I believe what he told me. Believing comes easy for some of us depending upon what it is or who it is speaking to us. When we came in the sanctuary without thinking about it, we believed that these red chairs could hold us when we sat down. There are some sisters in here that believed the brother when he said that he loved you and he would be with you for the rest of your life. It's difficult to believe that God is a way maker when bill collectors are calling and cutoff notices are in the mail. It's difficult to believe that God answers prayers when we've been praying and still we have not gotten an answer. When impossible circumstances and situations show up in our lives, it's hard to believe, especially when it looks like the enemy has you on your back and you are losing the battle. But is there anybody in here who will declare that there was once a time when you didn't believe, but one day God showed up in your life and he showed off? Is there anybody in here that knows that God specializes in the impossible? He healed the blind man by putting spit and mud on his eyes. He healed the woman that had an issue of blood. He raised Lazarus from the dead. He delivered Daniel from the lion's den. I wish I had just one person in here who will grab your neighbor by the hand and say, "Neighbor, God is able to do exceedingly and abundantly more than you could ever think or ask." If you're sick, he's a doctor. If you're in trouble, he's a lawyer in the courtroom. I wish I had just one witness in here who will shout unto God, "I believe what you told me." Slap your neighbor and say, "Neighbor, if God said it, I believe it, and that settles it." He might not show up when you want him to, but the old folks say he's always right on time. You want to grab your neighbor by the hand and say, "I don't care what you say, but I believe that God is able." In this text, y'all, we find that Luke the writer is describing a scene of one of the situations that we all have come to know about how we have read this text. And it's talking about Elizabeth and Zechariah, y'all. They were very old in age. The text says they were far along in age, but I need you to catch this because they were given a promise and they were told that certain things were going to happen in their lives. But because of the circumstances and their condition, the text tells us, y'all, that Zechariah didn't believe what was going to happen. The angel Gabriel, y'all, came out into the scene, and he had described to them what was going to occur. But Zechariah, y'all, for the reason being of the stuff that was happening around him, he did not believe what the angel had said. The reason he didn't believe it, y'all, is because his mind and his eyes were on what he could see. He told the angel, that cannot be true. It's not possible that me and Elizabeth will have a baby because we are well in years and we are old in age. In other words, what we used to could have done, we can no longer do. So how in the world do you expect us to believe that this can be possible today? And the text tells us because he did not believe, that his tongue was cleaved to the roof of his mouth and he was unable to speak. I used to wonder why there were some people who would come to worship service and not able to open their mouths. And what I have found out is that if you believe